Welcome to 99 low-cost ideas for schools engagement, otherwise known as ideas for the skeptical or battle-weary. I'm Kathryn from Built Environment Skills in Schools. There's lots happening in the careers space between employers and educators, and one of the fastest ways to shortcut your school's engagement learning curve is to partner with others and use their networks and expertise. In addition to the names on screen, you could also get involved with the careers activities delivered by your Chamber of Commerce or local enterprise partnership. School budgets are always a consideration, and it's important to be clear on the costs to schools involved in any activity you want to deliver. This could be direct costs like subscriptions or entry tickets, or indirect costs like teacher time and the use of resources. If you're able to support schools with a contribution to their travel or lunch or classroom resources, always make that clear. Preparing to make that first phone call to a school can be really quite intimidating, so make sure that you stack the deck in your favour. Consider the time of day or time of the school year that you're calling, and if you're calling for a teacher or careers guide, call after morning registration. Make sure that you call during term time, but try to avoid the busy times in the school calendar, particularly the run-up to Christmas, around exams, and the start of term. Just like everybody else, teachers like to read recommendations from people like them, but they may not know anything about your organisation. So whenever you've done any school's engagement, try to collect quotes and testimonials from the teachers so that you can share the good news stories of the activities you've undertaken with your new prospects. Construction has a long way to go when it comes to employers engaging with schools. In fact, CITB estimate that only 10% of companies commit to careers outreach. So whenever you engage with schools, make sure that you capture your experiences, not just the highs and the successes, but also the lows and the learning curves, and share those with other businesses, with your colleagues, your friends, your boss, and your employees. Adding your stories to your website or newsletter or social media will help to inspire and inform the other 90%. We've all got day jobs we need to focus on, and not every school opportunity is going to be right for you. Having a proper referral system in place means that you can pass opportunities on to other businesses and they can do the same for you without risking that opportunity falling between the cracks. This is Salesforce.com, a great low-cost system for managing all of your referrals. The quote on screen is taken from the National Career Strategy document, and it highlights the positive impacts from supporting primary schools, including pupils finding out about a wider range of jobs, gaining role models, and committing to higher and further education. In addition, the primary school timetable can be more flexible than the timetable in secondary school, giving you more chance to engage. Commercial business development and schools engagement really aren't that different as processes. When you get out and network, make sure that you're talking about the school's engagement work that you do. Share your good news with other businesses and promote your commitment to inspiring the next generation of your discipline or specialism. Because, just like commercial business development, you never know where these great conversations could lead. You've heard the old adage that we get what we measure, and when you make things strategic and planned rather than ad hoc, you've got a much better chance of achieving the outcomes that you aim for. When you're looking at your school's engagement strategy, be clear on the budget and resources that you're committing to and the staff time that you intend to make available. Make sure it's realistic for your organisation and that it's enough to achieve the impact you want. Sometimes we're so keen to get started on the exciting stuff that we forget to get the basics right first. If a school visits your website, do they know how to contact the right people, in the right department, in the right office? Do students know where to direct their questions? Adding specific contact forms will help to make it really clear for them. Children are trying to make big choices about their futures, often based on limited information. Their understanding of the world will be different from yours, so try to put yourself in their place. If you talk about salaries, be clear on what money buys. And remember that pupils will also be getting careers presentations from other sectors like banking and finance, who might have a completely different take on high wages and employee benefits. Schools are not one homogeneous mass. They can vary so much in their governance, in their structure, in their finances, in the size of their classes, and in the ambitions they have for their students. When you're first looking to engage with a school, do some research prep in advance. You can go to a site like Compare School Performance and find out more about them, including the number of free school meals they provide, their Ofsted reports, average GCSE grades, and pupil destinations, that is, where the students go after they finish their time at the school. Collaboration is a word we throw around a lot in construction, but if you're ready to start championing the work you do in schools engagement and learning from other organisations from inside and outside the sector, it could be time to start attending or hosting seminars. One of the easiest sites to find out about opportunities and promote your own events is Eventbrite. You can share details of your events, manage attendee lists, distribute emails, and book yourself directly onto events hosted by others. If I was a school teacher, why would I be inviting you in to talk to my students as opposed to any other employer? Make sure you've got a compelling, unique selling point for your commitment to inspiring the next generation before you start engaging with schools. How are you different? How do you bring your values and ethics to life? What technology do you use in your world that could inspire young minds? The current education landscape is full of competitions and awards taking place in schools up and down the country. Starting your own competition from scratch can be an investment of time and resources, but even with a more modest budget, you can still be involved and spread the word about careers in construction. Add a theme or a challenge to someone else's existing award, commit to becoming part of the judging panel, and help demonstrate the importance of the built environment to every part of life and society. The spectrum of work in construction is broad and daunting to an outsider. Just because it's something you do all day, be careful that you pitch the information at the right level. The average reading age in the UK is just 9, and concepts should be described for children younger than those that you're presenting to. If you can use the building they spend hours in every day, it helps to embed your information and make it more vivid for children who learn kinesthetically. When you get the opportunity to engage with school children, don't waste it by being bland or forgettable or overly complicated. Make sure that your engagement is a good use of their time and yours by delivering something memorable and impactful. Children will be hearing about careers from other businesses in other sectors with other powerful messages. After you've gone back to the office, what do you want students to remember about your presentation or activity? Like any business relationship, creating a strong understanding takes time and it doesn't happen in one conversation. But keeping in touch can become ad hoc if it's not part of your planned activity. Newsletters, regular emails, blog posts, and social media updates can help to keep schools, colleagues, partner businesses, and career organisations informed and engaged about your activities in between those face-to-face conversations. Do you know what Ofsted look for when they go into a school to rate it? If not, make sure you brush up and understand what schools are measured on and how you can help them with their inspections. Ofsted has a stated commitment to improving the lives of children, in particular the disadvantaged and vulnerable, and employers play a key role in creating local and regional aspiration for careers and qualification. The school landscape has changed dramatically in recent years, and depending on the format of your school, it could impact the curriculum they teach, the freedom they have over their finances, the way they select their pupils, and the governance that they employ. By understanding your particular school and the pressure it faces, you can make sure you're a valuable part of their careers guidance. The Careers and Enterprise Company have done research into the different types of activities that work in careers advice, and they've measured the evidence of that impact. Research studies have found that careers and enterprise programs can make a huge difference to economic, social, and educational outcomes, including improving young people's ability to make career decisions and increasing their average earnings after they finish their education. You might be fizzing with ideas for the kind of fully conceived activity that you want to provide to schools, but talking to the teacher first will help you to develop an offer that works best for their students and their lesson plans. They can guide you on the kind of activity they need and on the best ways to engage their pupils, including any promotional material to get children interested in attending your event. Don't be a one-hit wonder. Once you've been into schools and given a presentation or run an activity, make sure you leave behind lots of information for those who are interested or shy or who still have more questions. This information could take the shape of online videos on your own YouTube channel, posters or flyers that go into more detail about the information you presented, or classroom activities that teachers could deliver to build on the ideas you planted. If you're creating materials for schools, including promotional material, videos, posters and flyers, make sure that they're branded appropriately so students know who created them. That could be your overall corporate brand, or you could create a new brand specifically for your school's engagement and careers activity. It doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be complicated. Online sites like this one or canva.com allow you to create branded material quickly at low cost. Workplaces are an exciting, unknown adventure for many children, so let them come in and experience your world. Let them sit at a desk or walk around your boardroom or visit your staff restaurant. This is particularly useful for children in primary school, as they may only ever have experienced the workplace of a parent. If you host an open day, it's also a great opportunity to showcase details of your projects, and you might be surprised by the uptake from schools. Make sure that you provide transport and hot food if possible. The Gatsby benchmarks were created in 2013 as the Good Career Guidance benchmarks to establish what good looks like in careers. And in the recent National Careers Strategy, the government asked all schools to adopt and meet the benchmarks. Benchmark 1 says that all schools must provide a stable careers programme, and employers need to be active participants in the conversation with schools to ensure that that happens. On an average day, schools can get up to 90 emails offering them all sorts of careers-related activity and opportunities, separate from all the other emails they get about running a school. Whilst they're really happy that you've chosen to contact them and they're really grateful for any support you're offering, schools advise that they just can't read that many emails. And the chances are, if they don't already know you, they won't even reply. Coordinating your approach with other businesses and organisations to create joint offers means that you won't fall at this first hurdle. Choice overload is a phenomenon that means we can be paralysed when trying to decide between a number of seemingly equal possible choices. In careers, this means children can become disengaged from such a huge, life-changing decision. There are 4 ways that you can help them to overcome choice overload whenever you present: by reducing the overall number of options or putting the options into categories, by making the ideas vivid rather than vague and ethereal, and by taking the selling process in small bite-sized steps. They don't need to pick a job this minute, so walk them through in stages. Storytelling is an incredibly powerful human skill, and we've perfected it over centuries. By telling stories, you create an emotional connection with your audience, allowing them to understand and experience the world you've created for them. People will never forget how you made them feel. When you present, always try to tell stories that give students an understanding of the whys and the hows, not just the whats. What sets you apart in construction? What tips and tricks has your business developed over the years to get the best results for your clients? Is it the way you train and support your staff, the fantastic software you use, the rare and valuable skills you have, or the partnerships you've developed with other like-minded businesses? Talk to students about how you fit into the whole story. How do you impact lives and support people? At the end of 2017, the government published the National Careers Strategy, which sets out their ambitions and aspirations for careers activity across the UK as part of their commitment to improve social mobility and offer opportunity to everyone. If you haven't already, download a copy today and make sure you use it to help your school meet their requirements to deliver high-quality education, information, advice and guidance. Teachers don't want to find out the messages you're giving to their students at the same time as the students. They need to know first, and meeting with them builds trust and rapport in just the same way as it does with any business prospect. A simple site like calendly.com allows you to block out occasional slots in your diary and make them available for teachers to book, for meetings or phone calls, without all the usual email toing and froing. The majority of school children are digital natives, and they understand technology in a way that perhaps we never will. Construction is opening up to adopting more and more technology every day, and any opportunity you can use to highlight technology, for example SketchUp, brings the technology to life. Remember that the technology itself isn't the story, it's just the hook to get attention and engagement. Make sure you talk about the curriculum subjects that technology uses and the skills required to interpret the software. Over 2,000 volunteers from industry are currently partnered with schools working as enterprise advisors. This role involves supporting the senior leadership team of a school with their careers strategy, providing a commercially minded eye to careers spend, and connecting the school to the volunteers' network of colleagues and businesses. By becoming an enterprise advisor, you could also work closely with a local school to promote opportunities in the construction sector and help inspire the next generation through your strategic advice. Some children in the UK never travel further than 5 miles from their family home during their time in education, so their understanding of major cities or landmarks or transport networks may be limited. It's really important to localise your message to streets and landmarks that they recognise, particularly around their school if you want to stay relevant to them. Even if you're talking about significant projects or overseas developments, use local features as a comparison, for height or for scale or for population. The National Curriculum document is the statutory secondary national curriculum, including programmes of study and attainment targets for all subjects at Key Stage 3 and 4, that is secondary school. The National Curriculum document particularly highlights English, Maths and Science subjects, with less detail around the other subjects. Teachers are required to deliver against those attainment targets, so whatever careers activity you're providing in schools, make sure that it helps them to reach those targets and bring subjects to life. Take a look at any of the myriad of construction industry publications, and you can be pretty confident you'll find at least one article about the skills shortage. I personally feel that we've picked that subject clean, and it's time to move on to stories that feature solutions and strategies, partnerships and collaborations. You can become a media spokesperson by having an opinion, being outspoken and sharing your experiences, not just from a promotional perspective, but so that others can copy and learn from you. Schools that get the least support and engagement from employers include rural schools and schools for students with special education needs. These children can lack careers experiences with businesses, and as a result they have a higher risk of becoming NEET, that is not in education, employment or training, and they're more likely to earn less than their peer group average for the same role. Look further afield than the schools on your doorstep to make sure that pupils don't miss out unfairly. If you fancy sharing your experiences, your knowledge and your expertise with other employers or teachers or clients, you can create professional-looking reports quickly with a system like LucidPress. You don't even need to be much of a graphic designer, just put your words into one of their templates and your reports could be paving the way for others to commit to careers guidance and schools engagement. The second of the Gatsby benchmarks states the need to learn from career and labour market information. Many children will be interested in particular careers because of film and TV or through family members. But if those jobs don't exist in the local area anymore, or if they aren't actually the way they're portrayed on screen, teachers need to be able to provide factual and up-to-date information. Understanding salaries, entry requirements, or similar related roles can really help teachers to provide the right advice. I bet you know some fantastic businesses. You work alongside them, you're part of a supply chain with them, they're your client, they create amazing and innovative things. Forming alliances with them and delivering careers activity together not only tells a better story for pupils, it will be so much more fun for you. In the same way that any prospect would, when a teacher wants to find out more about your organisation, they head straight to the internet and type you into a search engine. What will they find out about your careers activity, or your commitment to the next generation, or your views on vocational qualifications, or the classroom materials you've created? Can they read case studies, or reports, or press releases? Is there an information area you've created especially for teachers? When you've worked on a fantastic project or been part of an amazing initiative, don't save the glossy promotion just for prospects. Publishing a book with something like lulu.com gives you the opportunity to pull together photographs, quotes, interviews with staff, stories and information that you can leave with schools for students to refer to and absorb at their own speed. The approved curriculum book list is pretty strict, so you might never make the bestseller list, but these books will be extremely valuable to teachers and pupils. Gatsby Benchmark 3 notes that students have different career guidance needs at different stages in their education. Schools must tailor opportunities for advice and support, and you can help teachers and careers guides to do that by considering the particular segment of students that your message could suit best, whether that's the scientists and mathematicians, the historians, the world changers, the creatives, the ambitious, or the active outdoors types. One of the most frustrating experiences for schools is committing to a talk or activity with an employer and then finding that the person who arrives on the day has been volunteered at the last minute and doesn't know the school or the needs of the students or the message they want to deliver. Training up your people in advance means that anyone who engages with schools, whatever level or function they represent, has the necessary confidence and presentation skills, and they know your company's message to students. Work experience is a perennial and effective way for students to learn more about the world of work. It's also a difficult and time-consuming activity for employers and an absolute maze of red tape and legalities for schools if the pupils are under 16. If you do offer work experience, make sure you tell schools clearly what's available so they're aware of it well in advance. The UK Commission for Employment and Skills created Not Just Making Just as secondary schools have changed in their structure and curriculum, so have the post-16 options for young people. All students are required to stay in education until they're 18, but they can opt for many different routes, including traditional ones like A-levels, new ones like baccalaureates, vocational courses like NVQs and BTECs, and in-work training like apprenticeships and traineeships. What paths did your staff follow, and what will you require of your future workforce? You know your world, your discipline and your projects inside out, but you don't have to simply stick to the written word of blogs, press releases and articles to talk about them. Adding audio to your website with something like Podbean, a podcasting platform, means you can interview your key people, talk to your project teams, get updates from your graduates and apprentices, and even profile your clients in a way that engages visitors to your site, including teachers and partner businesses. Very often, teachers won't have come from the same background as you. They won't understand your expertise or your qualifications or the structure of your organisation, but they want to because that's the only way they'll be able to guide their students. Educate the educators about the importance of the built environment. the way it helps individuals and communities, the way it creates safe cities, and the way it moves commuters around. Engaging teachers is often overlooked in the rush of enthusiasm to support schools, but it can be a really effective route. Linking curriculum learning to careers really is the holy grail of schools engagement, and Gatsby Benchmark 4 states the requirement. Anything and everything you can do to help teachers deliver this will start to bridge the gap between education and employment. STEM subjects are a particular focus, and construction lends itself to maths, physics and engineering, so it's essential that you consider the school lessons that link to any activities or challenges you deliver with schools. You've committed to the impacts and outcomes, you've trained up your staff, and you've partnered with other organisations in the career space. So now it's time to start tracking your progress. Do you have enough time and resources to deliver what's being asked of you? Are you delivering the calibre of activities you'd expected in the right number of schools? Have you impacted preconceptions of construction with teachers, with girls, with gifted and talented students, with younger pupils in primary schools? Construction is full of acronyms that we've all had to learn and understand, and so is education. Understanding and acknowledging these is a big part of respecting another sector, because you show that you can learn to speak their language. As a teacher myself, I can't emphasize enough how valuable it is to have curriculum-related videos to show during class. They should be a maximum of 3 minutes long, and they should cover only one idea or thought or issue per video. Use the same information that you've developed to link curriculum learning to careers, and demonstrate how one part of your work or your expertise requires knowledge from a school subject. Make it clear and accessible, keep the corporate promotion to a minimum, and make it as simple and straightforward as you possibly can. A wise colleague once told me that when you're public speaking, the distance between your brain and your mouth can be 1,000 miles. What you think you want to say and what actually comes out can be totally different. If you're watching this video, you obviously care about schools engagement, so take the time to do it properly. Work with colleagues and friendly collaborators to develop and hone your messages, and practice saying them out loud until they're natural and comfortable. Powerful public relations isn't just for the big companies. You can generate coverage and profile for your Great Careers activity and position your organisation as a leader in schools engagement. A site like this allows you to upload press releases and distribute them in a targeted way. Don't just automatically opt for the construction press. What about telling the education press, or your regional news outlets, or the publications that your clients and prospects read? Gatsby Benchmark 5 highlights the importance of encounters with employers and employees. Every student should have multiple opportunities to do this. In fact, the Careers and Enterprise Company have evidence that 4 or more high-quality work encounters during a student's time in education reduces their chance of becoming NEET by 86%. Being too literal about the specifics of your work is often cited by teachers as one of their main disappointments when they hear from employers. It's hard for children to engage when they don't have the same frame of reference as you. Generating ideas internally with your team is a great way to challenge some of the default descriptions. And if you haven't tried building with marshmallows and spaghetti, or welding with chocolate and wafers, it might even be a good team bonding exercise to try yourselves. Whenever you're involved in any school's engagement, you should always look to get feedback so you can develop and improve your activities and adapt your ideas for the best audiences. Using a simple feedback form means that you're always asking consistent questions and you never miss an opportunity. Design something simple internally with your colleagues to make sure that it captures all the feedback that you need. If you had just 2 minutes to convince a teacher to consider you as part of their careers activity program, could you do it? Could you describe the benefits and the values that you bring? Could you explain how you'd engage the students, how you'd challenge their preconceptions, how you'd inspire them, how you'd provide activities and information that they could use after you leave? If not, you need to brush up your elevator pitch, because you'll need it to win over partner organisations, the media and schools. Schools love to get profile and recognition for the careers activity they do, because they're competing against each other for students, for budgets and for staff, as well as trying to gather evidence for their Ofsted inspections. You can feature the schools that you work with in case studies, in your newsletters and your press releases, on your social media channels, and in the reports and research that you publish. When people are first exposed to an idea or a product, they experience a process known as buyer behaviour. Every stage in buyer behaviour allows us to assess and review the new thing against our own values and interpretation of ourselves, allowing us to decide whether we agree with it, whether it's right for us. Every student you talk to is going through this process when they assess career choices, so make sure that you have the right. In addition to encounters with employers and employees, Gatsby Benchmark 6 says that children need to experience workplaces. Although construction sites can be dangerous and inaccessible, locations that we might take for granted can provide a valuable insight to students. Do you visit your local planning office, or the builder's yard, or a client's facility? What about a completed project, or a site that's in the very early stages? Do you have partner businesses with unusual or aspirational offices? Construction loves a black tie event. The annual calendar is full of lunches, dinners and award ceremonies, and sharing some of these celebrations with teachers and older students can help them to see how competitive and ambitious the construction sector is. It could even be appropriate to create specific events for younger students, perhaps to celebrate their participation in challenges and competitions. Most schools will already be working on activities and timetables for the next academic year. Although there may be opportunities to deliver something last minute with a school in this academic year, it's always wise to think further ahead and give teachers plenty of notice. As a general rule of thumb, you should offer a clear term between your approach and the date of the activity, but keep the option open to be flexible if schools show an interest in bringing things forward. Who do you know that's doing great things in careers engagement and inspiring the next generation of construction? Who's always at careers fairs and assembly talks? Who's come up with innovative ways to inspire pupils? Who's supporting teachers and creating fantastic curriculum content? Then give them a shout out. Let them know you respect and admire their commitment, and you take their efforts as seriously as they do. It will take all of us working together to tackle the skills shortage, so let's recognise good work when we see it. You probably won't be surprised to know that many of the young people I talk to want to work for Google or Apple. They're not really so concerned about the job at this stage, they just want to be part of the product, part of the vision. When we get hung up on the detail of job roles in construction, we're missing the opportunity to talk about the incredible products, the built environment. All of us live our lives within these products, and highlighting their purpose, their successes, their shortcomings, and the decisions involved along the way is a clearer story to relate the roles involved. It's so easy to take for granted all the amazing things you do in a normal day that would be fascinating to young people as they look deeper into opportunities in construction. Capturing your thoughts and experiences as you go along could give you a bank of ideas and insights for careers activity. Doing this regularly with the voice memo recorder on your smartphone or a computer application like Audacity gives you MP3 files that you can then add to your website or your presentations. All students must now be given the opportunity to understand the full range of learning opportunities available to them in further and higher education. You can help schools by highlighting the education routes that your own employees have taken, and by explaining the academic or vocational qualifications you'll be looking for in the future. Bland and beige just won't cut it when it comes to careers guidance for Generation Z. Have an opinion, speak up about the future of homes and of an ageing population, or automation and robotics, or the circular economy and environmental responsibilities, or renewable energy, or diversity and mental health in the construction workforce. Tell students about the challenges we face and the opportunities it provides for them to become part of the solution. If your organisation is committed to schools engagement because of your CSR requirements, or because it helps you to win new projects, then that's great. But it's so important to understand the impact that you're having on children's lives. Young people don't get consistent work-related encounters, and they worry about their future job prospects. They know about recessions and low social mobility, and they hear all the talk about Brexit. Don't underestimate how important you are in shaping their future. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the chances are that students won't visit and read the websites of every single employer in their area. Having a website is just the beginning of your online presence when it comes to schools. Be where they are, be part of the conversations they're having about careers and qualifications, and partner with other organisations to promote, like and share each other's content. Hopefully you recognise all the logos on screen, but although the barriers to entry are very low in construction, and there are plenty of success stories of people joining the sector with no qualifications and rising to chief executive, teachers really struggle with this message when it comes to careers advice, particularly because students need to stay in education until they're 18. Make sure that you're talking about the aspirational, ambitious pathways into construction and highlight the commitment to ongoing learning and training in the sector. A recent CIOB report into social mobility in the construction sector highlighted that social mobility in the UK is at its lowest level for 40 years. Students are well aware of this, and they know that their job prospects are different to their parents and their grandparents. Construction is fairly unique in that it provides opportunities for every background and attainment level, but also because it is the sector that creates the very infrastructure of housing, transport, commercial and retail spaces, school buildings and healthcare facilities that become the canvas for local opportunities. Construction has many professional and trade bodies covering every conceivable skill and discipline, and pretty much all of them have an ambassador program or a mentor scheme or similar. These have the distinct advantage of strength in numbers and consistency of schools' engagement. Give them your support, get involved, and help schools by representing your discipline as well as your organisation. If you're creating great presentations to skill up and inspire the graduates and apprentices in your own organisation, you can create valuable information for teachers who can translate your messages for their students. A site like SlideShare allows you to upload your presentations, share links with teachers, and give them the flexibility to download content as they need it for their own classes and careers guidance. As a sector, construction is a holistic ecosystem. We all rely on others who provide their expertise before and after us in the process. We all depend on materials and products and software and innovations, all of which were created by someone at some point. When you talk to students about your own work, remember to give it context by talking about these things and these people that allow you to do your role. In 2016, the Careers and Enterprise Company produced a report called Understanding the Career Cold Spots, and their analysis examines the areas in which young people are most likely to experience substantial barriers. The coldest areas, the ones with the highest number of barriers to careers, are found in rural parts of the country, particularly in the coastal regions and post-industrial areas. The higher the number, the more barriers are present. If you can support schools in these areas, your commitment will quantifiably be going towards changing students' lives. Employers often tell me how frustrated they are not being able to find the name of the right person within schools. But let me flip that around. If I came to your website, could I find the name and contact details of the person in your organisation who's responsible for handling school opportunities? Is it your HR department, or your marketing department, or an enthusiastic surveyor on the 3rd floor? Make sure that their name is clear on your social media, on your press releases, and on all the materials you produce for schools. A simple briefing for teachers about the kind of activity you're going to provide, the key stage it relates to, the parts of the curriculum it supports, and the Gatsby benchmark it helps to deliver will bump you straight to the top of the Christmas card list. It also means that your commitment of time and effort doesn't get forgotten over the passage of time. Teachers can refer back to the briefing and refresh their memory. You can download a teacher briefing template from the BEST website. Presenting to a room isn't everybody's idea of a good time, and presenting to a room full of young people can bring its own challenges. If your team could do with a refresher, you can use a site like High Speed Training to access some low-cost CPD accredited courses online that your staff can use at their own pace. Rehearsing your skills in a team meeting embeds everything you learn, and if you're a micro business without a team, then this might be one of those things you can collaborate on with partner businesses. You've collected all your feedback from teachers and students, so now it's time to do some internal reflection too. What age group and demographic were you talking to? What responses did you get? Did you make all the points that you wanted to make? Did you find you assumed the knowledge that pupils might have about the world around them? Were you surprised by anything? Could you answer all of their questions? Asking yourself these kind of questions can help you constantly improve your school's engagement. The pressure on your time to do all the things you need to do is no laughing matter, and teachers are in much the same situation. Often physically travelling to and from meetings can take up a disproportionate amount of time. By using a virtual meeting platform like Zoom, you can keep in regular touch with teachers, and you can even present to students without ever leaving your desk. One of the easiest and simplest ways to overcome reluctance for schools' engagement in your colleagues and acquaintances is to take them with you when you visit a school. They're not in the hot seat, but they can experience what's involved in effective schools engagement. Look at the pile of business cards you collected at your last networking event and extend the invitation to a couple of them. If everybody takes a buddy, we can get over our collective apprehension together. Are you serious about your school's engagement activity? Are you someone who's mastered the art of the careers fair? Have you perfected the most engaging work experience placements? Then you should be recognised and rewarded. The Bessie Awards launch in 2018, and they'll be celebrating businesses and individuals who've made their school's engagement into a thing of beauty. Nominate yourself or your colleagues and get ready to revel in the applause. Commitment to schools' engagement takes time and resources and money, and the outcomes can be very long-term. Using a social value calculator, like the socialvalueportal.com, allows organisations to measure and manage the contribution that they and their supply chain make to society. The Social Value Portal can also provide guidance and support on assessing social value and how it might be aligned with local needs. A close second to the fear of public speaking is often the fear of being asked a question that you can't answer, and school children will have lots of questions for you. Saying you don't know is okay, and adding that you'll find out is even better. Sometimes their questions might move the conversation too far away from your topic, or they might cause you to speculate to get answers, or they might simply be details of disciplines you aren't sure about. What a great reason to pick up the phone to another business and encourage them to support the school and pick up the conversation. Social media is definitely one of those Marmite topics. Maybe you're the king and queens of it, maybe you're nervously dipping your toe in. Twitter is one of the easiest platforms to set up an account, build a like-minded network and start sharing your thoughts. A quick tweet about your school's engagement activity will put you into the hearts and minds of teachers, schools and career organisations and let them know that you're delivering against your commitment. From September 2018, all schools will be asked to name their identified careers leader. A careers leader will be someone who has the energy and commitment and backing from the senior leadership team to deliver the careers programme across all 8 Gatsby benchmarks. This person is going to need the help and support of employers to understand the local labour market, career pathways and salary expectations for their students. So construction businesses who are committed to schools' engagement should be taking this opportunity to prep. Who knows better about the impact of certain words and messages designed for students than the students themselves? If you want to create effective schools engagement, asking pupils and teachers to be part of your internal review team could provide you with valuable constructive criticism and a whole world of new ideas. Be clear on your expectations of a critical friend, as well as respecting the time commitment they might make. A quick online search will give you an indication of the number of academic pieces of research that exist to uncover why the construction skills shortage exists and why children don't consider careers in construction as an appealing option. Now it's time to look at research that moves us forward. What kind of activity, what levels of engagement, what types of employer investment are required to move us into a new space where we're measuring progress and outcomes? Whatever experiences you're having with schools, add that information to the research melting pot. Have you seen the latest classroom activities from the trade and professional bodies? You don't have to reinvent the wheel, and their information might spark ideas for you to adapt and tailor the activities to your organisation or to your school. Get onto the websites of STEM, the CIOB, Go Construct and others and download all their ready-made activities and student handouts. If you want to learn more about schools engagement at your own pace, you could sign up for a MOOC, that is a massive open online course. The Built Environment Skills in Schools courses, hosted on udemy.com, might be a good place to start, and you can learn about storytelling skills, embedding curriculum learning, choice architecture, generating ideas, developing your elevator pitch, and adapting your messages for different student learning styles. If you work in sales and marketing, you might already have heard about the magical power of 7, the number of times it takes for someone to receive your message before it seeps into their consciousness. This is partly due to the amount of noise and information that we're exposed to all the time, and partly because our subconscious brains keep us sane by filtering most things out. To get your message through to students, you'll need to be visual, audible and kinesthetic. You'll need to be spoken, written, implied and overt. Do you produce case studies about the fabulous business projects you're involved in? Of course you do. Well, now it's time to do the same thing for your school's engagement. You can add data, stats and facts about the Gatsby benchmarks you supported and the curriculum learning you helped to embed, as well as your internal process for generating ideas and the support you provided for your staff to help them deliver effectively. There are some great guides and free templates available for case studies, including this one from HubSpot. If you've done schools engagement before, you know that pupils can ask some really tricky questions. Although they might make you feel awkward or embarrassed or uncomfortable, this information is one of the only ways that children can start to differentiate between the hundreds of different roles and careers they're being presented with and make decisions about their future. The best way to help them is to prepare and rehearse your answers in advance, get comfortable with what you'll say, and if you can't anticipate their questions, ask colleagues what they've faced in the same situation. Teachers need to provide a broad scope of activities and talks for their students, covering many different sectors and targeted to different groups of pupils. Don't get too hung up on the format you want to deliver in schools. Instead, give them the option for the ways that you could help them and let them choose the one that's best for them at that moment. Some of the success measures for corporate social responsibility are very soft and difficult to quantify, but that doesn't mean they're not there. Are your staff benefiting from the additional development opportunities from your school's engagement? Is your skills pipeline increasing? Are you working in collaboration with other businesses and organisations that can ultimately provide you with profile and credibility? Are schools starting to approach you? We get what we measure. Build it and they will come. Well, maybe, but it's always better to be sure. If you're adding content and video and podcasts and downloads to your website, how do you know which ones are the most popular and the most used? You don't need a really expensive analytics tool to see where visitors go on your website. You can use a straightforward system like statcounter.com and instantly start getting all the data about visitor journeys, downloads, and average time spent on your site. Tackling the skills shortage in construction isn't going to be a sprint. In fact, we've been running this marathon for over 25 years already. Making sure that your plans and your commitment reflect the long-term approach needed to achieve change will keep us all focused on the strategic outcomes, rather than jumping from one ad hoc idea to the next. Show schools how serious you are about building ongoing relationships and giving your staff the training and resources they need to get results. In this canter through our 99 ideas, we've covered so many things, and I hope you found one or two that are really useful to you. If you're looking for more, just jump onto any of our online channels for information, classroom activities, articles, courses, downloads, interviews, workshops, events, and opportunities.